with the Star Wars, Sam on the Star Wars team at Hasbro. It's San Diego Comic-Con 2019. How are you?
I am doing well. How are you doing, Arnie?
I'm doing good, thanks. All right, I'm going to start off with kind of a softball question here.
Here we go.
You know, everyone knows Episode 9, everything's under embargo, can't have, the other future media, Mandalorian, whatever you may or may not be working on, you can't really talk about. But even with that, there wasn't a lot of talk about there weren't a lot of reveals at yesterday's panel. There was the Black Series Luke, which was known, but you showed the figure, but no talk of vintage collection, no talk of future waves of retro figures. Can you say why wasn't more revealed during the panel?
Because of Triple Force Friday. Actually, everything that we're working on, regardless of entertainment, is being held back for Triple Force Friday. So in order to make that as large of an event as possible, we have lots of support of many different things, but none that we can talk about, unfortunately, with you here, apart from the reveals that we had yesterday.
Okay, and so you're at D23. There's not going to be any more news. It's all held back for the Triple Force Friday.
Yeah, so it's just in order to bring sort of like that event as one major thing worldwide in terms of being able to share everything at once.
And then also part of the panel yesterday, you talked about the new Galaxy of Adventures figures being in the 5-inch scale. Yep. Are those going to be in the action figure aisle, or are those going to be over like with the Play School figures? Because they reminded me, I've been collecting a long time, of the old Jedi Force line that you did in the 5-inch scale that was had a similar styling. But those were over in like the Play School aisle.
These will definitely be in the action figure aisle. Again, the action figure aisle is not intended just for collectors and adults of ourselves, but absolutely is intended, for an older and younger audience as well. So absolutely, you'll be seeing those in the action figure aisle. Again, there's certainly a broad appeal in terms of what those offer, in terms of offering something a little bit, more stylistic, but ultimately reverting back to those very specific characters. Great range of articulation for them, and again, an awesome action feature which does not hinder the articulation, which was really important. Something that you find a lot with those, younger ones is that it is an action feature first and a figure second, but these are certainly intended to be action figures that also have a great enhancement by way of the action feature.
With the Galaxy of Adventure line going 5 inches, does that mean outside of the retro collection, there is no 5 POA 3 3/4 inch line then in Star Wars?
Outside of the retro collection, that would be correct.
Okay. That's, I think, the first time since you started the 5 POA line back in, I think, 11 or 12.
Might have been. Yeah, it's been that many years. Wow.
So let's talk holistically about Star Wars figures for a moment. Because I asked our listeners, what questions do you want me to ask? And when I distilled them all down, it really comes down to one question that's been asked again and again for at least 8 years. Okay. And so I'm just, now's the perfect time to answer the question. Ever since like the original vintage collection kind of overshipped the first wave and got clogged, and it was hard to get the figures out there, in retail, they were coming out, you could order the cases online and things. But, then we had Force Friday, and there was like a big push. I'm talking Force Awakens Force Friday, and a lot of new stuff, but then it kind of slowed down again, and it seems to still be, distribution seems to still be a continuing issue, as I hear widespread reports, including my own anecdotal evidence, of I go to stores, I see Snoke, I see Jyn, I see Rey, I'm getting all the figures from Entertainment Earth, I know that they're shipping, but they're not getting to retail. So what are the challenges Hasbro's facing getting the figures from these booths through to retail and into collectors' hands?
That is a great question. I think a big thing, there's definitely challenges that we're having just in terms of ensuring that those figures are getting out there, that, it's really resonating, whether it's a matter of pounce in terms of it's the completists that collect everything, finding the right audience that is really attracted more to the sequel trilogy or sort of all of Star Wars holistically, or there's a lot of people that are waiting especially for those later waves. So it's a little bit unfortunate in terms of we definitely have been hearing a lot of that in terms of, what's happening in terms of, you're right, that bottleneck at retail. So it's something that I know that Hasbro is working to help alleviate, to really be able to help push this along, because orders are up. People really want to get these later products, and we really want to get them out into your hands.
Yeah, I imagine you don't enjoy leaving money on the table.
No.
But with that regard, there have been a couple of great sell-throughs lately with exclusives. I mean, the retro line at Target, and that was announced that it's going to be available now on Entertainment Earth as they're partnering with Target for the
Correct.
exclusives.
There was such a overwhelming demand. You were at New York Toy Fair. They were in such demand that they sold out before we even got to announce them. So that was a little bit alarming, but it really gave us kind of a bit more of a visibility to kind of the demand that there would be. We knew there was going to be a bit of collector pounce. We knew that there would certainly be, attraction from a nostalgic value and really being able to share some of the heritage of those figures that were created over 40 years ago. But ultimately, it was such a resounding positive reaction, and we want to keep getting those out there as much as we can. So thankfully, we were able to partner with a great partner at Entertainment Earth, and ultimately, they're going to be taking on the additional orders and really being able to help get those out to the fans.
Will Target be getting any more at retail?
They will not be doing any more at retail. They've fulfilled their orders with Target.
And similarly with the Jabba's playset at Walmart, that thing sold out online quickly, and I'm hearing reports of it hitting stores sporadically. Is that something that's still continuing to ship?
I believe that is still shipping. I actually was just at Walmart prior to coming out here at San Diego, and back in Rhode Island, we had just started getting some of those samples into the stores themselves. So I was thrilled because that was the first time I'd seen many newness in terms of Star Wars on shelf at Walmart. So it was awesome to finally start to see those aisles start filling back up. Of course, I had to clear some of that out to actually get my hands on one. So it was.
Speaking of stores, I've heard stories. I've been talking to you guys for 10, 12 years now, and in the early days, I'd heard reports of people from Hasbro going to stores, checking the stocks, and working again with those bottlenecks to clear those through. Is that still a role at Hasbro? Is somebody still going to these stores and working on clearing out old stock?
I know that we as toy collectors visit the stores quite regularly, not only to see what's going on in our aisle, but also to see, competitively, what's selling, where the bare spaces are, and, ultimately where we can be doing more. In terms of that role at Hasbro, I can't necessarily speak to that department, and being in design, I would be completely butchering what is certainly done by the organization there. So I unfortunately wouldn't have that answer.
The Sith Trooper that was revealed just before the show. A lot of people are actually really impressed across the board that there are so many Sith Trooper products, Hasbro included. Nobody had any clue that this was coming. What is the process as far as secrecy surrounding something like that where you're able to keep it as a surprise till the last second?
Yeah, I mean, we have a long-standing relationship with Lucasfilm, so there's a long-standing kind of NDA in terms of a level of trust, in terms of, the assets that we need. We generally are working on this product, over a year before it's actually hitting shelves. So definitely in terms of being able to get that out, it is absolutely a level of trust and, ensuring that we are keeping secrecy. There was also a lot of surprises to that. I think prior to just a few weeks ago, actually being told it was called a Sith Trooper was kind of new to us. So we were just as thrilled as you guys to actually find out it was like this awesome Stormtrooper we've been designing, which we did know was red. Finally kind of bringing a little bit more of hinting at what this might mean for the story. So more on that ahead.
Great. Last question. Is the Microforce line continuing?
Do we have Microforce continuing? Yeah. Currently, there's no real plans for Microforce at the moment.
All right. Well, thank you again for your time, and look forward to Triple Force Friday.
All right. Me as well.